Welcome to the final run of Eddie Guerrero. What if Eddie Guerrero never died in 2005? Now, I really had to think about this one. It was like, how do I bring back Eddie Guerrero to the WWE? Because I know, everybody leaves WWE and then comes back, especially if you go to TNA. And this was around a time where AEW wasn't a thing. So, how do you bring him in? And well, the answer's simple. Just do it big, but don't also overshadow the upcoming returns that of Chris Jericho, because around this time Chris Jericho does come back. Because if you saw the last one, I ended Eddie Guerrero's career from TNA in 2011, which means that he would have eventually gone to the WWE maybe around November of 2011. And how would I bring him in? And I really thought about it, and I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant." So at Survivor Series 2011, there was this big tag team match, Team Orton versus Team Barrett. And one of the things that I remembered was that Evan Bourne got suspended, or something happened where he was cut out of the match. So I decided that the team for Team Orton is Randy Orton, Sheamus, Sin Cara, and Team Air Boom. And because Evan Bourne got suspended, we'll just write him off of TV and say he got injured. I decided to completely erase Mason Ryan from all of this because he sucked. Anyways, um, as that happens, uh, it was being told that like Evan Bourne will not be competing at Survivor Series. So throughout the week, uh, with the last week, they announced that there's going to be a mystery tag team partner, and then we won't find out until Madison Square Garden Survivor Series 2011. So everybody's like, "Holy shit, who the hell is going to be the fifth uh, person?" And sure enough, it's Eddie Guerrero. He comes out, he has a stellar performance, he does some great moves. Um, It'll be like real life where Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett get the victory and they're the sole survivors because they want to build up Wade Barrett and Cody Rhodes as well. We'll keep that. But Eddie Guerrero has a good showing, and this just so people can get excited once again that Eddie Guerrero is back without completely overshadowing The Rock's return to the ring on this show. And Eddie Guerrero gets eliminated by Cody Rhodes, which means that for the remainder of the year, he will be competing with Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. Around this time, Cody Rhodes fought Booker T, but those matches weren't that great. I think Cody and Eddie would have made better chemistry in the ring. So, sure enough, it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Eddie Guerrero for the IC belt back to back. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. And Cody Rhodes gets the up the victory. Eddie Guerrero's just here to put over Cody Rhodes, and then at the Royal Rumble, he starts getting really over. He even makes it to the final four. Uh, that being Eddie Guerrero, Randy Orton. Uh, for the hell of it, we'll make it Mark Henry and Chris Jericho. Those are your final four. Um, and freaking Eddie Guerrero gets eliminated by Mark Henry, and Mark Henry also eliminates Randy Orton. Or Mark Henry was on a tear. So the final two are Mark Henry and Chris Jericho on the Royal Rumble 2012, and the winner will be Chris Jericho, who just came back on the second day of January, that end of the world as you know it kind of shit. And it's gonna be Chris Jericho versus CM Punk at WrestleMania. That is what we're building up to. As far as the world title elimination chamber picture, this is what I got. In the Elimination Chamber is going to be Daniel Bryan defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton, Eddie Guerrero, Big Show, Cody Rhodes, and Wade Barrett. Um, I was thinking about who I wanted to put on certain spots, but I like the whole story of how what's his face Mark Henry gets himself out of the match after bullying Teddy Long and gets to the point where he gets suspended. So we'll keep that storyline just for the hell of it, but um, Eddie Guerrero takes that final spot. Randy Orton does play an injury, but he got replaced by Santino. So it was a big clunky ass match. So let's just keep these six guys. But Eddie Guerrero starts the match with Cody Rhodes reuniting his rival, and then he's the one who's tearing the house down. He's the one carrying the show. And he has like such a great showing, kind of like Kofi Kingston. that led to his big moment at WrestleMania 35, coincidentally, against Daniel Bryan. Um, but the final two are Eddie Guerrero and Daniel Bryan. Eddie Guerrero started at number one. Daniel Bryan was at number six, and people are cheering for Eddie. He's been a stellar performer. People have been loving him ever since he got into those rings. And Daniel Bryan cheats his way to win the match and retain his World Heavyweight Championship. Eddie Guerrero talks about how he was screwed, and that Daniel Bryan's like, "Hey, you of all people know a thing or two about lying, cheating, and stealing." And we just built this up about like how like Daniel Bryan's this like guy who's not ready, and Eddie Guerrero's just like had enough of it. So at WrestleMania, it's gonna be Eddie Guerrero versus Daniel Bryan, and we'll even open the show with this. And it won't go 18 seconds. Don't worry. But people should be worried about how the 18 seconds made Daniel Bryan a star. However, if he's having a classic with Eddie Guerrero, you really think Eddie would like let Daniel Bryan just be some other guy in the roster? No, he will talk to Vince and be like, "Hey, I just had a kick-ass match with Daniel Bryan. You better push this man to the moon. One of these days, he's gonna headline WrestleMania. Trust me." So that is why I fuck with Eddie Guerrero. Anyways, on to the rest of the rebooking. We keep If you're wondering what happens to Sheamus, he wins the United States Championship, not Santino Marella. So out with Santino, in with Sheamus. Kind of a weird thing to think about, but I think Sheamus would have been a great U.S. champion around this time. Anyways, on to Eddie Guerrero's run. He talks on Raw, talks about how he's ready to defend this belt and be one of the greatest world champions of all time. That's when Alberto Del Rio comes back, and he talks shenanigans about how he's the past Mexican aristocrat and that he's just a bitter old man. And this starts up some feuds, but he still needs to finish his feud with Daniel Bryan. So at Extreme Rules, Eddie Guerrero, Daniel Bryan, the rematch, 2 out of 3 falls. Eddie Guerrero gets the victory. It'll be a fun ass match. And then we're basically gonna book Eddie Guerrero like Sheamus, similar to Sheamus. At Over the Limit, it's gonna be Eddie defending the belt against Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, and Alberto Del Rio in a fatal 4-way. And throughout the match, we tease Eddie and Randy Orton starting to bicker around each other because around this time, Randy Orton was a face, but he was not getting that over. But we're building up to Eddie Guerrero and Randy Orton. Unfortunately, he gets suspended, so we will not do that. So at No Way Out 2012 is going to be Eddie and Alberto Del Rio. Part of the reason why Del Rio lost his title shots because he got injured due to Great Khali. That does not happen because I never booked the Great Khali because he sucks. Anyways, Eddie Guerrero versus Alberto Del Rio. Um, Eddie lies, cheats, and wins his way to a victory. And then on Money in the Bank, they have a rematch yet again. And again, Eddie Guerrero wins yet again. So he has two great matches with Alberto Del Rio. I know nobody likes him now. I don't like him, but he is a solid performer. And around this time, Randy Orton comes back from suspension, RKO's Eddie, and we set up Randy Orton versus Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam because the least you could do is turn him heel. Like, imagine that he just come out of a suspension and you put him in the world title picture. That is a heel. That is a missed opportunity, and that would be great. Though I think this would have happened if it was a match that people wanted to see. I know deep down, if that happened, like in real life, where Sheamus is the world champion and he's the face facing a heel Randy Orton, people would boo the hell out of that match. But with Eddie Guerrero as a legit babyface and Randy Orton as a legit heel, now you're excited. So at SummerSlam, Randy Orton wins the World Heavyweight Championship. He's a new heel. Eddie Guerrero wants his rematch. Around this time, they're building up Dolph Ziggler because he's Mr. Money in a Bank. So at the rematch, Night of Champions 2012, they're having a match, but we're also teasing that maybe Dolph Ziggler could cash in somewhere around there. And at one point, it looks like Dolph Ziggler is going to cash in. Eddie Guerrero attacks him. He goes back into the ring, gets snuck up with an RKO. 1, 2, 3. And then Randy Orton walks out. Still your World Heavyweight Champion. Don't worry, he'll eventually lose it. Um, and then Eddie is furious with Dolph Ziggler, so he starts a feud with him. And throughout SmackDown, Dolph Ziggler is getting a couple of victories off of him. And then they finally culminate their match. So the first win, Dolph Ziggler, then the second win, Eddie Guerrero, and then the third match will be at Hell in a Cell 2012. The opening match is going to be Eddie versus Dolph Ziggler, and Eddie Guerrero wins because this is what they do to their Money in the Bank winners. They keep losing and losing and losing, and then eventually they'll get the world title. But that's how I could see it happening. Then around this time they were building up Ryback and all of those guys. And we're gonna do Team Foley versus Team Punk, just like in real life. No, we're not doing Ryback, Cena, and uh, and Punk. Um, so I was thinking about. It, I was like, should we do that match and then do that? And honestly, I said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do Team Foley versus Team Punk, like it was originally planned. And in this match, Ryback gets eliminated by countout. And the final two are Eddie Guerrero and CM Punk. Don't worry about who's in it, but around this time, and then the referee's knocked out, so you think Eddie's gonna lie cheat and win his way to a victory. But this is when the Shield comes out. They do the triple power bomb on Eddie. They throw him back in the ring. CM Punk picks him up, does the GTS. The referee comes back. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk wins the match. Sole survivor. And then at TLC, freaking at TLC, Eddie Guerrero talks about how he cheated, and trust me, he knows anything about cheating, but he doesn't know who these Shield guys are. But he knows that he's guaranteed a shot at the WWE title, and we build up Punk, Eddie Guerrero, TLC match for the WWE Championship at TLC 2012. Around this time, CM Punk was injured, but we're not building up Ryback because fuck him. That's why. Anyways, um, it looks like Eddie Guerrero's gonna win this kick-ass TLC match, but the lights go out. Shield screw over Eddie, and then CM Punk takes advantage. And yeah, and for the rest of the build to WrestleMania, we're doing Eddie Guerrero versus the Shield. Um, or we try like we actually do not see the Shield have a match at any point, but they're constantly causing shenanigans. Um, Screwing over the CM Punk. And this is when we are actually going to attach the what if John Cena was behind the Shield all along. So you're thinking that they're helping CM Punk, but deep down they're actually just helping John Cena. Um, so we're gonna keep that build similar, and the Shield's just constantly causing shenanigans, and they Eddie Guerrero finally says, "Enough! I'm had it with the Shield. I I challenge you guys to a match at WrestleMania. It's gonna be me and two other guys, and we're gonna kick your ass." And Eddie Guerrero forms a team of Randy Orton and Sheamus, who have also been screwed over by the Shield constantly. So at WrestleMania 29, it's gonna be the Shield versus Eddie Guerrero, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. And the Shield wins, and then Randy Orton RKO's Sheamus and Eddie Guerrero, making him a fully fledged heel once again. And in the main event, it's gonna be The Rock defending this WWE Championship against John Cena, the Royal Rumble winner, and CM Punk. And we connect the whole, uh, the whole freaking rebooking of the What If the Shield was with John Cena all along. And then Eddie Guerrero is mad at Randy Orton for RKOing him after, and then they reunite their feud. And then at Extreme Rules, Randy Orton versus Eddie Guerrero, Extreme Rules match. Randy Orton punts Eddie Guerrero, takes him out of TV, and we take a break from him. And he comes back around the summer of 2013, where um, he comes back with Rey Mysterio, and the Shield's mission is to be the next top guys, and he's tired. They're tired of like old part-time wrestlers who didn't matter anymore coming back. Like that's why Dean Ambrose and RVD are fighting for the U.S. belt at SummerSlam, and then RVD gets help from Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, two of his old friends, and we eventually do some matches with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and RVD with the Shield, which would be a lot of fun, but eventually, this will lead to the Authority getting mad at Eddie and Ray They're like just like we're basically doing the Cody Rhodes and Goldust storyline. Just replace them with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, but this will lead to AEW, so be happy about that. Coming sooner. Yeah, AEW will come a lot sooner if Cody Rhodes uh, leaves later. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, freaking Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, they both get fired after losing matches to Randy Orton. And then at Battleground, they set up a match. It's titles versus careers. They want the Shield tag team titles, or they quit WWE. And then we basically do it. We're doing a Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero versus Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns titles and jobs on the line. And of course, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio win. They have a hell of a tag team match. And then throughout the rest of the fall, Eddie Guerrero will defend their tag team titles against the Real Americans, the Usos, Los Matadores, any tag team that was around this time. Um, and we would basically keep them similar to the Rhodes, but the way they lose the tag team belts will be a little bit different. At TLC, so for starters, at Survivor Series, we're gonna do John Cena versus Randy Orton title for title, and then at TLC, the main event will be Randy Orton defending both of his world titles against Cena, Punk, and Bryan. That's a big fatal four way. The reason why I say that is because at TLC 2013, we originally had Punk versus the Shield and Bryan versus the Wyatts. That won't happen because the Wyatts will be busy trying to win those tag team belts from Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. And sure enough, um, the Wyatt family get the tag team belts from Rey and Eddie. And then they try to get him back, but they're too busy with Daniel Bryan. So now Eddie and Rey are a little bit directionless, but they're still a tag team. And then at the Royal Rumble, Eddie Guerrero eliminates Rey Mysterio, but and then goes the distance, finally turning him heel. Daniel Bryan does join the Wyatt family, and he does win the Royal Rumble because that will be way much better for business. Anyways, WrestleMania is gonna look a whole hell of a lot different. Um, it's gonna be Cena Taker, um, Wyatt's versus Shield, Bryan and Orton for the world title, um, all kinds of things. Like we could probably have the Andre Battle Royal in there. Triple H and Bryan could still happen in the opening match that leads to the main event. But what does Eddie Guerrero do? Well, he reunites a feud that's 9 years, a little too late, but I'm pretty sure if Eddie Guerrero would have wanted to retire, I'm pretty sure he would want one of his closest buds that have been Rey Mysterio to end his career. So at Eddie Guerrero's tired of like being a washed up veteran, and Rey Mysterio still gets the attention. So he wants to end this once and for all. And if he can't beat Rey Mysterio, then he just might as well retire. So Eddie Guerrero puts his career on the line against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 30. Rey Mysterio wins the match, and Eddie Guerrero finally retires. He closes the doors. He's done. He's done everything he can. He had one last good run on him, so that would be a lot of fun. And plus, this would affect the fact that Rey Mysterio would not join Lucha Underground, but this is just for fun. Who's not about taking this shit serious? It's just for fun. But what do you guys think of my rebooking? I hope you enjoyed all of these parts. I know I promised this would be up on Monday. Thank you guys for continuing to support me, and until then, I'm out.